That spot right there on your pants is your mother's blood. What? Right there. No, that's from... This is Douglas Reed putting on a performance in front of detectives after brutally killing his mother. I was having weird visions and flashbacks of things that, didn't even happen. It was kind of a blackout. All come with explanations. And I can't explain that. He can't explain that. Only you can explain that. Only you can explain what transpired to cause the altercation this morning. Okay? That's something that only you can explain to us. And that's important for you, Doug. Okay? It's important for you sitting in this room right now to explain. Because otherwise, all we have to... Life was detailed publicly beyond the facts of her death. But what is known is enough to imagine the shape of her world. She was a mother of 6 decades of lived experience, a woman who had raised a child, built a home, and carried the quiet responsibilities that come with parenthood. She had likely celebrated birthdays, weathered hardships, and created memories inside the very walls where her life ended. Her death was the loss of a woman who had a place in her community and in her family. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and check out one of the craziest cases I've ever covered, right here.
Do is just sit here and assume the absolute worst, right? What's the absolute worst? The absolute worst. Take a deep breath. You know what we're talking about, bud. Okay, take a deep breath. Okay, sky's not falling. Okay, it's time to take responsibility.
Show some remorse, and let's move forward. What's done is done. Okay, we just need to know why. We already know the who, the what. Okay, we're not talking about the car. Okay, you're not a bad guy. Something obviously happened this morning.
That set you off, and we need to understand that, okay? But we can't sit here and pretend that nothing happened this morning. Let's have some honesty about what's going on, okay? Are you okay? Yeah. Okay, take a deep breath. All right, you're holding back. Need you to be
honest, okay? You haven't been truthful so far. Not 100%. It's important that you are, okay? Skies are not falling, okay? Pretending that nothing happened doesn't make this go away. It doesn't, okay? But when everybody makes mistakes. Everybody screws up every day, right? The only thing we can do is take accountability for those and try and explain what happened. That why is so important, okay? It's so important. And you may not feel like it sitting there right now. You may be nervous and scared, and I can appreciate that. I understand that, Doug. I truly, truly do. All right? But sitting there, pretending like you don't know what happened to your mom isn't going to change anything, and it doesn't look good. It makes it look like you don't care, and I don't think that's the case. I think you care about your mom, and I think you care about your son. Okay? I do. I believe that. But you've got to help us understand what happened to set you off this morning, for that to happen. All right? I understand where we're coming from. There's got to be a reason. Okay. What? You're not. You're not. You're not a monster. Stop. Stop with the what happened, okay? Because we can sit there and play.
That. But I would wager a lot of money right now. First off, I guarantee you know what we're talking about. And second off, I'd wager a lot of money. That spot right there on your pants is your mother's blood. What? Right there. No, that's from... That's from my. Stop. Yes. Stop. Stop. I can show you on the inside of these pants where it's from my pubes where I
Shaved. Stop. I really can't. No. What set you off this morning with your mom? Oh no, we're not doing that. No. Watch. Hey. Stop. Moment where it just. But what Doug doesn't realize is that investigators already have physical evidence connecting him to the attack. There's more went on at the house than what you're telling us. Okay, we both know that. Fair enough. Now Doug will try to explain a stain as an accident, completely unaware that a hammer in a ditch will bury him. You wake up. You go into her room. See? Okay. It's my puke blood. Doug, you need to take a deep breath. But your pants. Take a breath. Explain to us what set you off this morning with your mom. What's going on? What? This is out of character for you.
Would you agree? I mean, this is not something that you planned, is it? No. Doug makes a big point of claiming the blood on his pants is from shaving his pubes and not his mother's blood found at the crime scene. He seems to be missing the fact that investigators already know whose blood this is, and though he claims he has no idea who did it, his own words later will prove.
Otherwise, what happened to set you off with your mom? Was it upset about the party? Upset because you couldn't afford something for your son? Was she ragging on you about not getting a job and making you feel bad? Was it, she did those. She ragged on me about not having a job. Okay. Was she upset? Did you take some money from her or something? No? And then she find out? Or I don't know. This is something that has to come from you. I don't know that something happened for you to attack your mom this morning, and you're the only one that can tell us what that is. So Doug obviously knows that lying to the officers during a crime investigation is the worst possible move, and yet that's not at all what he did. Rather than corroborating and telling the truth about his relationship with his mom, he's digging himself deeper with every word, and soon everything will come crashing down around him. It's time to take some ownership. And some responsibility here. You owe that to people. You owe that to yourself. Doug, what happened? What happened? Take a deep breath. Okay, take a deep breath. I'm done talking, Doug. This is yours. Look at me. This is your chance to try and help, right or wrong. Okay? There's times in our life when we've got to swallow our pride, know that we screwed up, and we've got to fix that. Okay? And this is your one chance. This is your one chance to fix that for yourself and for your son. And you need to sit there, and you need to think about that for a second. Because we walk out of this room, you're never going to have that opportunity again. Do you think that deserves that? You think he deserves the truth. I think he does. And you know he does too. You know he does. And to sit there and not do that is a disservice to him. And yourself. And you're better than that. It's time to own up to it. Be a man. We're past if it happened. We're past who did it. We're past that. I'm not asking you if. I'm asking you why. And you owe that to them. So either you're just a bad person who just did it, just because, and you just don't care and screw her and screw your kid. Or Something happened that set you off that explains why a guy that we don't have a violent history of did something violent. Those are the two options. Something set you off, or you're just a bad person that slid under the radar all this time that we...
What happens? I just go nuts. Just after 3:00 a.m. in Mattoon, Illinois, police discovered a horror scene inside a local master bedroom. Karen Reed had been brutally attacked while she slept. The violence concentrated around her head and face. The weapon was missing, but the suspect wasn't far. By morning,
Should have been looking at better. One of the two. There is no in-between on these. About the job. Nagging me, and then made me feel shitty about not being able to get him anything for his birthday. And listen, my kid just had a birthday, okay? I can appreciate that. I can appreciate feeling like you're not getting them what you want, things like that, okay? I can appreciate that. That's the one thing that you want to do as a dad, is provide for him, right? Okay, feel shitty enough that you can't. I can. Appreciate that. Things are expensive. Money's tight. All right. And then to have somebody that's supposed to be on your side nagging you about it, I get that. Okay, was that going on again this morning, or was it last night and it just boiled over and you just couldn't take it anymore? It was. It was last night. Okay. Is that why you couldn't sleep and you're up at 2:30? 'Cause it's just still eating at you? Okay. It shows that you're human. You're not cold-blooded. And it's emotions, man. Okay. That's so important. So important. Okay, you wake up, you go into her room. What happens? I just go nuts. Okay, what you use? What you hit her with? Hammer. Okay, where was the hammer at? In the garage. So you go out to the garage to get it? Was she awake or asleep when you went in the room? Asleep. Okay, where's the hammer now? It's off in the ditch in Shelby County? Okay, I'm not really sure. How many times did you hit her? I don't know. What made you stop? What? Panicked. Okay, so emotions kind of calm back down and you stop. I mean, you think you hit her once, 5, 100? What do you think? I have no idea. No idea? Just kind of blacked out when you were doing it, or what? Yeah. Okay. So when you stop, what happens? I panic and leave. Doug pivots from quiet son to cold-blooded killer with the casualness of a guy ordering a side of fries, admitting he fetched a mini sledgehammer to handle a conversation about his unemployment. But even as he's describing the blackout, his survival instinct is fully awake. He's already mapping out a high-speed exit in his mother's car while her body is still cooling. Okay. Did you wipe stuff off? Did you clean up? Did you change clothes? What's going on? This was it. Okay. So what's that blood? That's mine? That is your blood. My growing. Okay, so you did that. But you... Authorities apprehended her 31-year-old son, Douglas Robert Reed, fleeing in his father's stolen pickup truck. According to Douglas, when his mother's car ran low on gas, he simply drove to his father's house and took his truck instead. He insisted his mother was resting peacefully when he left around 3 a.m. Doug wanted police to believe this was nothing more than a case of, "Didn't get any of her blood on you, you don't think?" No. Okay. You leave. You steal her car. Okay. You take the hammer with you then? Yeah. When did you get rid of it? While I was in the car, while you were in her car, out the window. How do you know you were in Shelby County? My dad's house is over there, and he's like just on the Shelby County line. So were you close to his house when you threw it out? I mean, it may have still been Coles County, but I was out in the
country over there and it was dark. How far away from the dad's house do you think it was? I don't know, 2-3 miles? 2-3 miles away from his house. You think which you throw it out, the driver's window or passenger window?
Driver's window. Driver's window. Okay, you understand why this is why it's important to tell some of this and explain some of your actions, that there was a lot going on with you, rather than just like, I thought it'd be fun to do. You understand the difference? Yeah. Who was all present when this happened? Just me, my mother, and my son. It's you, your mother, and your son. Where was your son at? His bedroom. When was the last time you saw him awake? 8 the night before. You didn't see him before you left?
not awake. Not awake. Just leave his door open. So, okay, and what time do you think this happened with your mom? Around 3. So that time frame is accurate, that 2:30 to 3-ish. 3 a.m. Yeah, so you had the argument with her kind of last night, and then it just ate at you all night. Did you sleep at all, or did it keep you up all night? Kind of kept me up all night last year. Okay, sure. And then, had you ever been violent with your mom before? No. Did you call anybody? No. Text, message anybody? No. What was the reason for going the route you were going? As far as route, I mean, where you were located, actual location. I was headed to Minor. To see some old friends? Okay. Did you stop and get some money? There was a guy that gave me a ride after Shelby County and $20. Gave you $20. So obviously there's going to be, and I apologize if I asked this, but there's blood and stuff on the hammer. Did you wipe it off at all or anything? Or I mean, is there going to be some blood in your mom's car from the hammer? No, I wiped it off. What you wipe it off with? Toilet paper. Plus it at the house. Yeah, okay.
Vehicle theft. But as you're about to see, the story presented by Douglas Reed had more holes than a blood-spattered bedroom wall. Well, Douglas, obviously, between you waking up and you leaving, there's more went on at the house than what you're telling us. Okay, we both know that. Fair enough.
Clean up your hands, stuff like that in the bathroom. No, I didn't have any on my hands. Well, at least he wasn't caught red-handed. What route did you take when you left the house? I went out by the graveyard. Outside of Mattoon. Yeah, kind of by Lake Paradise. That one on the way to Lake Paradise. So you probably went west on Oak. You know your directions. Yeah, and then you went south on 30, was that 33? 33rd. 33rd out to Old State, is that right? And then back towards Lake Road. Yeah. And then did you go straight across Lake Road, or did you turn on Lake Road? Straight across. And then I took a wrong turn at one point, and kind of got lost on my way to my dad's house. That's when I threw the hammer around. So, okay. Sure about those clothes? That's what you were wearing? Yeah. It doesn't change anything if you change clothes. I mean, it makes same reason it makes sense to wipe off the hammer, things like that. Like, I understand if you change clothes. Like, that's not a big deal. But it is surprising to me that there wouldn't be anything on your hands or clothes or anything from doing that. Right. I mean, you can see where there's stuff up on kind of the curtains and wall and things like that.
So, I mean, to not have any?
On you would be strange. Was it a regular? What type of hammer was it? It was a long handle, like a sledgehammer, like a mini sledgehammer. Not exactly a mini sledgehammer you had there, Doug. Now the detectives need a motive. They need a rationale for why he did what he did, because they now have an admission. But confessions can be recanted or dismantled in court if they aren't backed by physical evidence. Locating the hammer transforms a verbal statement into an ironclad case, providing the forensic link needed to prove the specific mechanics of the assault and ensure the weapon can't be dismissed as a figment of a blackout. How did we get to this point? Breakout. Okay, can you walk me through that? When did the argument happen? Last night after went to bed, which was what time? Oh, I don't know.
9 or so. He went to bed at like 8. He went to bed about 8. And the argument between you and your mom was about 9. Yeah. What happened between 9 and 3? 'Cause you're estimating you hit her with a hammer around 3 a.m., is that right?
So, between 9 p.m. and 3 a.m., are you just sitting in your room? What happened? I sat in my room. Were you awake the whole time? No, I fell asleep here and there. Okay. Do you not sleep well? No. I left it at 3. Okay, what happened before that? You woke up. What happened before that? I grabbed my bag and I drank some milk in the kitchen and I left it on the counter. It's hit and miss. Okay, what's the reason for hit and miss sleeping? Probably caffeine. A lot of coffee. Okay, I understand that. Drugs? Alcohol? No. You don't use drugs? No.
Don't use alcohol? I occasionally smoke marijuana. Okay. When's the last time you smoked? A while. Okay. Not even sure? Okay. So between 9 and 3, you're dozing off, coming, waking up, not sleeping well. Out of that 6 hours, how much do
You think you slept? 2 or 3. Okay. And during the times that you were awake, what was going through your mind? I don't even know. I was just angry and frustrated with the whole situation. Okay. What was it that your mom said that really upset you? She just keep repeating herself over and over again. Oh, you need to find a job. And I really struggle to keep jobs whenever I find them. Why is that? Failure to show up on time. Tardiness is a big one. Okay, so how did this argument,
Was it in front, in the living room while you're watching TV? It was in the living room. It wasn't like we were really screaming and yelling, okay, a whole bunch. It wasn't like we woke my son up or anything. Okay, so he was asleep when the argument occurred.
Yeah, 'cause he went to bed at 8, and you said the argument happened about 9. Yeah, so no screaming, nobody up in each other's face. She wasn't in your face, you weren't in hers. No. And then we had a big argument earlier that day about my son and the Xbox, and she went and got him a tablet.
Okay, and anything wrong with that? By wrong with that, are you upset that she got him a tablet? No. Okay, but she kept complaining that I didn't let him use the Xbox and that was set up in my room. And okay, we had kind of scheduled times where I'd let him, okay, use it. What do you think happened between 9 and 3 to make you get to this point? I have no idea. no idea. What do you think is different from, because you said that maybe not every day, but it's not uncommon for you and your mother to argue, right? So what's different from
A previous argument where never been violent before to this argument that took it to that extreme. Why was this so different? Does that make sense? Does that question make sense to you? Like, why did this argument send you into this rage where you did this? And then grabbed the fob out of her purse. And when did she try and argue with you about the fob? No, she was asleep. Okay, well, there was.
what was different about it? Stress for my son's birthday and all that. I'm sorry, Doug, but stress about your son's birthday is not a great reason to batter your own mother to death with a sledgehammer. The detectives are thinking the same thing and need more clarification. Why would this man snap like this? What kind of ghost does he have in his closet or in his medicine cabinet? Have you ever thought about this before? No, you've never had it to the point that it's built up and you thought about it, but you didn't go through with it?
I mean, I've had brief thoughts like that before, but normally brush them off. Right, okay, towards hers or others, or anybody, when things weren't going right, or what in general. But I didn't feel like it was any
More than like a normal person whenever they get really stressed out. Okay. Did she wake up at all after the first hit?
She was out after the first one. Yeah, okay. I think I don't really remember a whole lot from that. Okay, I think if you're driving to your dad's,
Where you're like, you're more in the right frame of mind then. You took your mom's vehicle, you wanted to go to Minor, you were with it enough that say, hey, I don't have enough gas and I don't have gas money, so I need to go to my dad's, try and get his vehicle, see if it's got more gas in it. Okay, so you're thinking clear at this point, right? And
I understand that maybe you got turned around on a road, but not enough that didn't keep you from getting to your father's house and then knowing how to get to his work and parking where he parked. So you're with it at this time, okay? You're thinking, right? I think that you're also sitting there thinking, I need to get rid of this hammer because I don't need to be driving around with it. I think you probably have a fairly good idea what your weapon is for obvious reasons. Doug seems unable to remember, despite being able to remember just about everything else. And now he'll bring up something that he thinks will get him off the hook. What do you think, Al? I have no idea. I'm either going to the psycho ward or going to the jail. And why do you say the psycho ward? I've been there quite a few times. Okay, can you talk to me about that? They've diagnosed me with bipolar schizophrenia up in Champaign at either OSF or Carl. I don't remember which one. Okay, I think I went to one first and they... Obviously, an incident between you two this morning. Okay, so what we're giving you the opportunity here is for us to understand that incident. Okay, because if we can't understand your side, if we can't understand where Doug's coming from, right, we can only... Moved me to the other one. I think I went to Carl and they moved me to OSF. But I was there for a week, like a year and a half ago. Okay, then I've been to Sarah Bush, I think 3 times since then. And what are the reasons for all these? Like what made you get to the point to you had to go there? Whenever I worked at Animede, I was having weird visions and flashbacks of things that like didn't even happen. And then, have you had those recently? Or I don't know. Not that she knows. Yeah. You take medication? No. Have you been encouraged to take medication? Yeah, but I don't. The medication gets me. All zombied out. Okay. And have you tried to talk to the doctor about adjusting that medication?
I've talked to them before about different things, and this is just that doesn't seem to help. What they give me. Okay. So, but this morning, you were kept up on and off all night thinking about it, upset about it, dwelling on what had happened. And then when you...
I also feel like she pushed me to make her adopt him, or allow her to adopt him. Okay, so had she done that? She was working on it. Okay, so she was trying to kind of force her hand a little bit on adopting
your son, and you didn't want to give up that parental right to let her adopt. Okay, you wake up this morning, and obviously at some point you decide like you were going to do this because you said you went to the garage to get the hammer and then came back. So it wasn't just like
standing there. The hammer was pre-planned, taking the car. But not after pre-planned, taking the car after you did this? Or, no, I had that. So your initial plan was to just take the car and go. And then she just pushed you over the edge. And you just finally had enough and woke up. Or on and
Off and had this plan. And I say plan because you'd been thinking on it. You left, you went to the garage to get the hammer, came back, went to her room, and did it. So that's when I say plan. I'm not talking about a plan for days, but I'm talking about when you woke up and you
walked to the garage. You knew that you were going to get the hammer to go in and do this. That was all of about 5 minutes. Sure. It was pretty instantaneous. That wasn't really planned out. Yeah. And again, yeah. I'm not saying planned as in long-term plan, but I'm saying like when you walked to the garage, it was, were you going to the garage? Just assume the worst. But most of the time, there's reasonings behind people's actions that can make a lot of sense, right? It can make something that, people can't understand say, okay, I understand how things escalated, or how things got to here, or why we're at this place, right? Okay, but those... Garage for anything else, or did you go to the garage to get the hammer? Yeah, I went out there for that and back in. So you went out there to get the hammer, to come back in and do it, is what I'm saying, right? Was there any point that you when you were going to get that, where you were like, should I or shouldn't I? You just made up your mind and it was just time to do it? It was kind of a blackout moment where there wasn't a whole lot of thought. You just kind of made up your mind on it and just did it. It's fair enough. Pretty impulsive. Doug is trying to explain away premeditation. First-degree murder requires malice aforethought, meaning the intent was formed prior to the act. Conversely, an impulsive murder involves a spontaneous eruption of violence, which may lead to a second-degree conviction. In Illinois, first-degree murder carries 20 years to life, requiring every day be served without early release. I know you said you don't necessarily know how many times you struck her, but what do you believe her condition was when you left the room? Not okay. What does that mean? She was either dead or severely injured. Okay. From the blows with the hammer? Yeah. Okay. When you stopped, was it just because you just decided to stop? Was it because you calmed down? Was it because you were tired of swinging the hammer? What was the panic and started to realize what I had just done? Yeah. How were you swinging the hammer? Was it, I've not seen the hammer, so was it one-handed? Was it two-handed? What was just one-handed and was just doing that? Okay.
Could you see, you said there was a window, and I wasn't
There at that time, so I don't know the amount of light. Could you see what it had done? Could you see her head? Things like that? No. Did you believe her to be dead at that time? I wasn't sure. By the time you leave the house, she definitely needed medical attention. I wasn't sure where, if I was just hitting her in the face or the whole thing. Doug was charged first-degree murder, along with obstructing justice, related
to his actions after the killing. In Coles County Court, a judge denied him pretrial release, citing the gravity of the crime. He would remain in custody as the legal process moved forward. On May 29, 2025, Douglas Reed stood before a judge and entered a guilty plea to murder. In exchange for his plea, additional counts were dismissed.
The court sentenced him to 58 years in prison, to be served at 100% under Illinois law, meaning he must serve the full term. An additional 3 years of mandatory supervised release will follow if he lives to see it. At 31, the sentence means that much of his remaining life will be spent behind prison walls. Little of Karen reads,
"The bond between a mother and child is the foundation of our existence. Yet in a moment of senseless rage, that foundation can crumble into a nightmare. No frustration or hardship justifies turning a hand of violence against the one who gave you life. We must learn to master our inner demons and seek help when the pressure of life becomes too much to bear. Honor your parents with your actions, for once they are gone, only the weight of regret remains."